Hello and welcome to Kicking Tires. My name is Jimmy,
And I'm Justin.
and today's March 2nd, and we have a bunch of EV news today because, of course, that's where the world is heading. But not for every single manufacturer because there's a little British manufacturer called Morgan, and they've been doing something quite different. And, well, we'll take a look at this, the brand new Morgan Super 3. This little three-wheeler is it's super unique. It's one of the coolest things that you probably will ever see, or probably won't see, because if you're in North America, you probably won't see it. But it has three wheels, very similar to like the T-Rex that you can get, or the Slingshot. Two wheels on the front, one wheel on the back. But this is like the traditional British way, right? It's super retro, super old school, and it's super, super cool.
Yeah, I mean, Morgan's history, this is it, right? Like they've been building this for over a century now, some variant of a three-wheeler. And it just looks like you took like a World War II, I don't know, fighter plane and you just hacked off the wings and slapped on wheels and and called it a day. But it's so cool. And the shape is, you know, instantly recognizable as a Morgan. So we just had the three wheeler. It's been out for about 10 years now. Uh, looks like it was a car from decades ago, but it's only 2011 to 2021. And this is the brand new variant. It's completely different, sort of.
Yeah, it's different but the same. So like the one that was just passed, it had a big V twin right on the front,
Hmm.
and you can see this massive V twin engine, air cooled V twin, just right at the front because that's
Yeah.
like the entire front end was that. It was
Harley
super different.
Davidson V twin.
Yeah,
This is a lot more compact engine wise. The car itself is bigger. I don't even know if you can call it a car. It's its own thing. It's a
it's a
three wheeler.
trike. It's a trike.
It's a trike. Yeah. But because the engine isn't, you know, in front of the wheels, they've basically pushed the whole body back. So when you see them side by side, they do look quite different. This one does look a little bit sleeker, more streamlined, and I guess more futuristic in a sense. Still looks like it's from the 40s or the 50s, but
It
still,
it looks
yeah,
like something that's built in like the 40s, but like for the future. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it has that futuristic look to it, but it was definitely dated back then.
yeah. Or low key, like some apocalypse happened, and then someone repurposed fighter jets and put them uh, in as cars and rebuilt them as cars. It's a monocoque structure, which is the first for Morgan.
It's,
Uh,
it's not made
Aluminum,
from wood.
yeah, not wooden, and I don't even know how the old ones are made, but I mean it's a real platform and structure to this thing. So I guess it must be stiffer, and it probably won't rot out. Uh, Engine wise, it's a 1.5 liter Ford three cylinder. I think we see this in a lot of applications. Actually, it's very compact, very powerful um, type of car, but it's still linked to the Mazda 5-speed, which really good gearbox. Can't complain there. It's an EcoBoost engine, so
Not an EcoBoost, right? Is that EcoBoost?
oh,
I think
it's
it
a
was.
naturally
Yeah.
aspirated EcoBoost. Does that even make sense?
No.
I don't know what that means. Uh,
I'm pretty sure it's just. I maybe it was an EcoBoost engine, but they just took the turbo stuff off
oh,
because it only
that's
makes 118 horsepower.
yeah. I don't know. Everyone says it's an EcoBoost engine, but it's a Ford three cylinder, so I don't know what it is.
Well,
Or maybe it's available as an
maybe.
EcoBoost. Yeah, but the 118 horsepower version, I don't. That is naturally aspirated. So really small engine, but it's not slow. 7 seconds to 60, reasonable for this type of toy thing. Uh,
you don't want to go faster than that, right? Like I don't
Yeah,
think
I don't think you want to go over 100. Like,
like it. No, I don't think so.
yeah.
They say it's much easier to live with this one. There's
Hmm.
a lot of things that they've done to make this easier to live with. So like ergonomics is better. The pedal box apparently, I believe they say that that moves to adjust for the height. Like it's
Yeah,
just
tilt and telescopic wheel, because that's one thing. You get into anything, even 90s and backwards. Like 90s doesn't feel like that long ago, but a lot of stuff didn't have tilt and telescopic wheels, and it's bizarre. Like thinking back that, hey, actually even my '03 Corolla did not have tilt or telescopic wheel,
hmm,
and you just have to adjust your seat to match. But like some people
cares
come in different sizes, and it's weird that it took the auto industry a
that long.
century to realize that. But I mean, even in very recent history, there's cars that don't have tilt or telescopic wheels, and I don't get that. But now Morgan is with the times, and they fixed the ergonomics, kind of. I mean, don't expect this to be all that comfortable. It's not meant to be. It is more comfortable than like a motorcycle, I guess.
Not
And
all
it is,
motorcycles, maybe some
yeah, not
motorcycles.
all. Yeah, because it doesn't even have a sound system or anything to it.
Yeah,
Whereas you can get stuff with like navigation and subwoofers and speakers and stuff like that. This has none of that. Interior is very bare bones, but very classy and timeless, uh, while also looking a lot more modern than before. So a lot of cast aluminum pieces. That's going to age really nicely, I think. Digital speedometer and tachometer, and I think it's an option, but I haven't seen it on all of them. But there's a little thing that looks like a gauge behind the steering wheel, and it's actually from like motorcycle accessories. It's just like this little screen with an arrow on it, and I guess it links up to your phone's Google Map somehow, and it shows uh, directions on there. So that's your navigation, basically, is that. I doubt there is any kind of hands-free calling feature. No one can hear you anyways. They will just hear wind noise. So
you're
I don't think
you're
there's any
probably gonna
point
get
there.
yeah, you're probably gonna get one of those motorcycle
Communicators,
communicate.
yeah.
Yeah, it's you probably would want something
Do
like
you have to wear a helmet to drive
that.
this stuff? That I
I
don't know.
I mean, I think it just depends on where
Where you are
and
in
what it
legislation.
classify yeah, and what it classifies as.
Yeah.
Because like
Apparently they're coming to the States though.
yeah, so that's gonna be
So
interesting.
maybe we can
Because
bring one across the border.
slingshots you don't have to wear a helmet,
Hmm.
so maybe.
I feel like you'd want to wear a helmet just so that you're not eating
Yeah.
bugs. Because like, what if you're driving and like a fly goes into your eyeball? Like, what do you
It's
do?
well, that's why
You wear
there's the option.
goggles.
That's why there's the optional windscreen.
I don't know if that will help, but there's a whole suite of apparel linked to Morgan. Morgan is very much, you can't look at it as a very traditional automotive company. This is a lifestyle company, right?
Hmm.
Like it's about all the accessories and stuff. And I looked at different photos in their press release packet, and some have like this kind of bungee cord thing on the inside of the door that you can use to store stuff. I don't know what you can store. It has to be big enough that it doesn't slip through the bungee cords, and or small enough that it actually fits in a small cavity. And then there's an interior and there's an exterior version of that, so you can strap your saddlebags to the
Yeah.
side of it.
So there's yeah. So the side blades. That's just right behind the front wheel. You can strap things onto that. There's going to be leather bags that are fitted for that. There's going to be a roof, not roof, but a tail kind of thing that you can strap more luggage to that. So the thing is like you can take this for an adventure. It's like an adventure vehicle in a way. So think adventure bike, but
Yeah, it's more versatile
a
now.
little bit more comfortable maybe.
Yeah. And then I was looking through the press release, and then like the guy's wearing one of those like British hats. I'm like, how does a hat stay on when you're driving at normal speeds, like even 50 kilometers an hour? Like I feel like a hat would just fly off, but
Well, with tires like Speed Master that it has on, you wouldn't you wouldn't be too concerned, I guess.
mhm. but
Because
just such a desirable. I don't even know what you call it again. Trike thing. I want one. Um, it's kind of unobtainable here. Money is not an object. Like it's not even that expensive. It starts at 42,000 pounds, which translates to what the price of like a 3 series. I want to say
well, 3 Series these days can vary.
like a pretty low
Pretty
spec three
spec.
series
I think it's a decently spec 3 Series.
because
40.
their prices include VAT. So
Oh,
uh,
okay, okay, okay.
yeah, so
That makes sense.
not that
Um,
expensive.
the
Okay, a base 3 series is like 30,000. Okay,
there you
so
go.
it's like a mid-level 3 series, so it's like a 50, $60,000 thing.
uh, what I do like is if you're interested, not even as a car, but go to their website. It's morgan-motor.com. You can play around their configurator to try things onto it, different colors. You can have matte. You can have British Racing Green, obviously. You can have like a British flag on the side. You can have your name on the driver and co-driver side. Like there's so much you can do. There's like this piece of cast aluminum that's on the front, or aluminum, whatever
Aluminium.
the British way of saying it. That piece on the front, you can have it in like this darker color, or you can have the brighter work. Like, there's so much that you can do to customize this. It's just super, super cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That is going to be the highlight of this week's news because doesn't kind of goes down from there.
Well, it's going from something that it's something that we can both like a lot and have
Yeah,
high interest in, to stuff that we
yeah.
we probably like. It's
We
not
do
that we
like
don't.
too, but this is the only piece of internal combustion, gasoline, petrol-driven news we have all week because the rest of it is all EV.
No, there's still a little bit of petro stuff at the end, but we won't get that. But we'll get to that later. We want to talk a little bit about Rivian. So Rivian, they make two cars, R1T and R1S. The T is a truck, the S is the SUV. Pretty standard naming scheme. Previously, the pricing was about 70 grand, and you can get quad motor, like 800 horsepower, something like that. And it was a pretty good price for what you get. However, they have since kind of jacked up the prices a little bit. So a Rivian R1T now, it's dual motor as base rather than quad motor. And if you want like the bigger battery, that's you're looking at like $12,000 worth of upgrades. So quad motor, bigger battery, it's 12 grand. If you want like accessories and stuff, prices of that has increased as well. Rivian has said in their like forums and whatnot to say that this is because of supply shortage and everything like that, which I can definitely understand. But to pay 12, 15, $16,000 more than what you have previously ordered, that kind of sucks. I mean, because this is not affecting brand new uh, orders. This is affecting people that have already paid the deposit for their vehicle.
Mm,
That is why it sucks like a little bit here, because it's not for brand new people that are just walking into it. It's like you already paid money for it, but we're actually gonna increase the prices for you.
yeah. So you can. I'm assuming you can walk away, just because
Oh,
the price has
absolutely.
gone up like 10%. So if you still want one, which I think it's still compelling for the money, because think about it, a base model S or a base model X, those are way higher than this. So I feel like the Rivian is still a good value, even if they raise the price. Uh, you know, there's no way Cybertruck is really going to be at 49,000 or whatever they aim to be. because inflation has just gone crazy
Yeah.
over the last few months. Like I just got an email yesterday. Pirelli's like, we're raising 10% across the board. Like 10% is pretty big, uh, in our industry at least. And that's just this month. That's not, including a few months ago they said the same thing. We're raising 6%, and it's just you can't keep up with charging the same price. And a lot of people are going to get a rude awakening to that. I think everything is going to be like this, where just prices across the board are going to be so expensive. And it sucks as a retailer or as a anyone who's doing any business, because like take groceries for example. Like you go to a restaurant and you expect to pay X amount for a burger or a pasta, but behind the scenes, the ingredients have cost that much more. Just means that the owner of that restaurant is just eating all of that loss, basically. And because people aren't willing to adapt that quickly to price increases like that, and even though now it costs twice as much to make that, they still it just eats into their margins basically. So it's going to be really tough for uh, new people or new businesses to enter the marketplace, I think, compared to like bigger suppliers or bigger manufacturers that have more control of their suppliers. They may have, you know, they're making their own plastics, they're making their own castings and engine blocks and stuff like that. Whatever it may be, compared to that's basically what's going to separate the big boys. Toyota's got so much under their control. Same with pretty much any of the big three, and that level of manufacturer, they kind of own everything and they have shares in everything, so they have so much more independence. But smaller manufacturers that don't have much of a history, like Rivian, are going to be hurt by this. And just along with our next story, which is basically exactly the same thing. Uh, it's Lucid. Uh,
Yeah. Let's go right to it.
yeah, Lucid is slashing their 2022 production forecast. So originally they thought they could make 20,000 cars a year. Now they're down to 12,000 to 14,000. Their forecast is. So that's a good what 30-40% drop, 30 to 40% drop. Pretty significant. Share prices obviously affected, dropped about 15 to 20% since Monday when they announced that. And they're saying, it's not just chip shortage. They've got 250 suppliers. That's how many little components are needed to build a car. Like there's so many different pieces that you have to make. Specifically, they mentioned the glass issues, carpeting issues. And I feel like this is why Tesla's kind of thrived, is that they didn't care about these issues when they launched their cars. And you're paying 150K for a car that we don't care if the manufacturers didn't build the part quite right. And so they got a good head start there. But I think Lucid's probably a little bit more on top of that. And they're like, we're gonna come out as a luxury brand. It's gotta have the fit and finish to be a luxury brand. Um, that's you hear time and time again. No one gets into a Model S or a Model X and thinks, "Hey, this is worth 200 grand," because it feels like it's worth a quarter of that. And that's kind of what Lucid aim to differentiate themselves with, is just that interior fit and finish. But unfortunately, that's what's probably causing them to have production slowdowns. And because they haven't made them, and they've only made a couple hundred vehicles so far, so they don't have that kind of control over their suppliers. You're at their mercy, and so I wouldn't be surprised to also see them raise their prices and whatnot.
I 100% think Lucid should raise their prices. 100%. Because I've I haven't seen one up close, but I've seen like a lot of videos and photos of their vehicles. The quality that's in their vehicles, like how each panel fits and how the interior is, the poor performance that it gets. Like this is such a step up from a Tesla Model S that it shouldn't be. Like it's priced higher already than an S, of course, but I think it should be even higher still. Like,
Yeah. I mean, the problem is just attracting buyers, but I mean, generally, if you're selling a six-figure car, it just has to have the right sex appeal, and you will sell it. Like
yeah,
it's not the buyers are a different animal. People who they're just in a different tax bracket than us. They think
yeah,
differently than us, right?
absolutely.
They did also mention that their SUV that was supposed to come out in about next year, 2023, is now delayed to 2024. Who knows if that's going to be delayed again? SUV, I don't know. Like that is a really important vehicle for them. It's called the Gravity. So there's the Air, and then there's a Gravity. I don't know what's next, but
Well, there's
yeah,
air, there's gravity, water,
water,
lucid
moisture,
water. No,
moisture,
just moist. No moist.
moist,
This is
moistness,
the lucid moist.
moist,
That's
air, gravity, moist.
it's gonna be the hardest sell ever, but it's gonna work for them. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
gonna
what
be
other Earth, wind, fire?
what is this Avatar?
No, it's September.
Oh,
I don't know. But yeah, that's Lucid news. Sucks. I mean, we like this car. This car just won like car of the year,
yeah.
and I think it really deserves it. It is such a game changer. The charging speed, the performance, and like you mentioned, the fit and finish, everything is really impressive with this, and I'm really hoping they can get back to it. And 12,000, 14,000, still no slouch. That is a significant amount of cars compared to like how many Super Threes Morgan is going to build,
By
right? Like,
hand, by hand. Okay. No, I don't think they're doing too many robots at the Morgan factory.
yeah,
But like 12,000, 14,000 cars, I think, for six-figure cars, is still a good amount of
mhm,
vehicles. You're
yeah,
not pumping these out like Toyota Corollas, right? Or Corolla Crosses, I guess these days. The need isn't as much as those cars, so 12, 14, I think is still a good amount. I still want to go over to that Lucid store that we have in Vancouver. I want to check it out, but I heard they're doing appointments only,
mm.
which just sometimes is hard with appointments. But let's move on. Poststar. Polestar, one of my favorite brands, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Um,
So we went from the air, now we're to the oxygen, the Polestar O2
O2.
concept. Yeah,
So,
everyone's very creative with their names these days.
too
Uh,
creative.
yeah,
So the O2 is a two-door sports car. It's a convertible that they're concepting for.
hardtop convertible actually.
Like,
This is kind of cool.
I don't know. I mean, Polestar currently makes two cars, right?
The
They're
Polestar, well, the Polestar One is
not
they
really.
make it, but not really, because like no one's buying them because they're $200,000 and up. So
Yeah.
it was just an exercise. Even they're like, this is a collector's piece. This is not a vehicle that you use to compare to other vehicles. It's just if you really like Polestar, we make this for you. Um,
So really, it's the Polestar 2 and then the upcoming Polestar 3.
yeah,
The
the
Polestar
Polestar
2,
Two is great.
it's not bad. Like $50,000 or 50,000 Canadian dollars. Add some packages like 55, I think it was.
Yeah, and
And
slap on some rebates. And
yeah,
yeah, it's a
good
solid
car.
car.
Good
This
car.
O2 is more of the more like the Polestar One though, in terms of what its conception is. So it's a bonded aluminum platform. Google Drive is telling me that I spelled aluminum wrong. Uh, the car is gorgeous. Like it's based off of the Polestar 5, which is kind of like a Lucid Air or a Model S. Like it's like a four-door sedan kind of thing, luxury. sedan thing. But this is like a shorter version of that, really short overhangs. I really like the proportions. It kind of reminds me of the Lancia Stratos, reimagined by Pininfarina a few years ago. It's just like a short, stubby, I don't know, tall-ish coupe thing,
The,
convertible thing.
the A pillar is 100% R35.
How it's painted black and stuff.
Yeah, just that. And then, well, not only that, but the B pillar proportion, how the A pillar slopes down towards the
Yeah,
B
the
pillar,
roof slopes. Yeah.
that's 100% R35. Looks beautiful,
Yeah.
though.
No, this is a very different look than R35 though.
No, I'm just saying,
Uh,
like between the
yeah.
pillar, just that, just between A and B
No,
pillar and the roof line.
that's a classic supercar line though. Like
It
all
is.
mid-engine
It is.
supercars
Yeah, yeah.
have this kind of really raked back windshield and then a down sloping roof line. I think it's pretty traditional. It's very exotic car. I think like any even as early as like a Miura would have a similar roof line.
Mm.
Uh, Lambo or Ferrari from that era. So it's got, you know, I think it's got traditionally good looks. Like objectively, this is a good looking car.
Yeah,
Uh, as with kind of any Polestar product, like they've all their concepts and have looked pretty good so far,
yeah.
and
Poststar
putting
1
into
and 2,
production,
both good looking cars. Yeah.
both good looking. The SUV concept looks good. All the Volvos pretty much look good too. Uh, so yeah, this kind of, I don't know how much this is going to be. It's probably over two hundred
Yeah,
thousand,
I was
just
gonna
like the
say.
one. I don't think they're really gonna make it. I don't know if they can make it. It's more like, hey, what can we do to showcase, our styling elements in a really sexy platform?
Yeah,
And I think this is it. It's all recycled. What do they say? Recycled polyester, I think, for the interior. So uh, all the seats, all the woven fibers, everything. They're just using the same material, but recycling it in different ways. And they've just kind of playing with different textures and whatnot. And they mentioned something about how when you're just using that one material, you end up with a lot less waste, and it cuts down on the weight. I like these kind of eco chic interiors. Jimmy doesn't really like them because they feel, I don't know, not as traditionally nice
I, I'm,
as.
I'm getting better with them. I think
Yeah. I
because
mean, even the Ionic 5, I felt like, okay, this door panel is noticeably like it's not as nice as, like a Lexus or.
yeah, I,
Yeah.
I'm getting better with these eco interiors. Like
Yeah.
the MX-30's interior, like I really do like that kind of woven fabric stuff that they got going on.
Yeah,
It
the
looks,
fibers. I mean, the Swedes have always been really good at this kind of
oh, absolutely.
design. Not just in recent years, but always have kind of been on the leading edge of that, just playing with different materials, like less traditional materials. Uh, so one of the gimmicks with this concept is this autonomous drone,
Oh yes,
which the drone, we gotta mention it because it sits behind the back seats. I don't even see a picture of it, but it's an idea. I don't know if it actually exists, and whether they've actually tested it. But basically, it sits behind the back seats. The roof opens up a little bit, or this is like an aerofoil thing that lets it launch up out of the back seats. And what does this drone do? It just films you like you're in your own episode of, it's like your own Forza replay reel. So you can make it film your car up to 90 kilometers an hour. It takes off, and then you can watch it on your 15-inch center display. You can edit that clip. You can share that clip. I don't know whose idea this was. Like, this feels like a high school project. They're like, we're gonna design the car of the future. It's gonna have drones shooting out of it, and it will film you, and you will have a great time. Yeah,
see, Justin, you just don't understand, right? I think we're a little too old. These younger kids, what they want to do is they want to take selfies,
Excel.
right?
TikToks.
Yeah.
Selfies is 10 years
Oh, that's what I call them. I'm sorry.
ago.
Um, so with the portrait screen that they have, I'm sure this TikTok enabled camera, filming at 90 kilometers per hour, they can ghost ride the whip a little bit. You know, stuff like
Hmm.
that we used to do for fun.
Yeah, it's a interesting. I don't know whose idea this gimmick was, but yeah, very interesting. I want to say also the CEO
I was gonna say I like this quote.
Thomas Ingenlath. His quote in the press release is that being able to lower the roof and not hear an engine promises a superb sensation. I feel like that is the exact opposite reason of why I roll my windows down or I put my top down is I want to hear an engine. I don't want to hear road noise and rocks being pelted at my fender liners. That is not a pleasant noise.
Um,
Mm.
okay, so I living in Vancouver, there's a tunnel by it's Cassier Tunnel. It's by Hastings. Every car, no matter what car, you know, it's just so common for you drive in. Before you drive in, you lower your window a little bit, right? You give it a
Mhm.
little bit just to hear it. Not gonna lie, I did that with the Ionic because it was just so natural to me. I heard nothing but
Whoop.
nothing.
Just nasty wind
I
noise.
just
Like
heard wind noise. It was kind of
yeah,
disappointing, but you know, I don't get what
it's not a
sensation.
superb sensation, as he would say, because it's just like okay, if he said okay, feeling the wind in your hair or something like that, that is a little bit different.
Like
But
pure enjoyment of your surroundings
yeah,
without
yeah,
the sound of an internal combustion engine affecting the nature. You know, some stuff like that would sound
yeah.
better. But
I feel like part of the experience of driving top down or driving a Morgan Super 3 is hearing all that whine and exhaust noise and very different very different CEO from Morgan, as you can tell,
yeah,
with Poststar.
their their values are a little different. What I will say is because this is a concept, and like most concepts are, it's a design study, right? So there's a few things that's on here that I absolutely love, that I really hope that new postcards are going to implement. First is the daytime running light. So they have a top daytime running light that goes by the headlight, and then there's a bottom one that goes by the vent, and then they are basically opposite of each other. Absolutely
Hmm.
beautiful there. Really like that touch point there, the point itself, not the touch point. Sorry. And then the tail light, sucker for full width tail light, and this goes from edge to edge and down.
Yeah,
Volvo and Polestars, they always have this beautiful tail light, and I think this is kind of, you know, this is what we should expect on upcoming Polestars.
yeah, and I mean the headlight design is just an iteration of that classic Volvo like Thor's hammer
Thor hammer,
design.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just the same split. It just goes down horizontally and it splits vertically, and it's really the same idea, but it's so much more, it's so much bigger and I guess more dramatic in this version of it.
mhm,
Really killer design. I think every line on this thing is gorgeous,
yeah.
and
What about the wheels though?
I like them.
Do you like the wheels? Okay, I thought you might not like it because you didn't like the Mini's wheels, the Mini E.
Oh, the mini plug. Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's not the same, but it's still this kind of four. It almost looks like a D-pad for like a controller because it's the same kind of four spoke design.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm good with them. They're not my like favorite design, but they work well with this overall shape.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think as far as design goes, everything is killer on this Polestar O2 concept. And yeah, like we said, every Polestar get killer design.
yeah, absolutely. Let's move on from Polestar into Stellantis. If you don't know what Stellantis is, it's FCA. If you don't know what FCA is, it's a very big group consisting of Jeep, Chrysler, Fiat, Dodge,
Alfa Romeo,
bunch of other people.
Ferrari, Maserati.
Is Ferrari still part of FC Stellantis?
I think so.
I know Maserati is. I don't know
Isn't
if
Ferrari the same?
I thought. Well, no, I thought they. I don't know if they're part of it, but I
They're
know they
they're
have.
they're not proud to be, but I recently worked on a is it the F8, and then the fuse box is Mopar on it,
Oh,
like in big letters.
oh,
And I mean Fiat and Alfa Romeo are Ferrari.
yeah,
It's all related.
yeah. I thought they're
Uh,
just like a little bit like partially owned, but not still within the whole group. Anyways, that
mm,
that must suck. An F8 Tributo, you open up the fuse box and there's a Mopar on it. That
yeah,
would hurt
it's
me a little.
huge, the Mopar, and like all the switch gear and like head unit stuff, which those are probably better from uh
Yeah, they Stellantis makes good products. Let's be honest. But if it's a Mopar on the side, I that would hurt me a little when I bought an F8 Tributo. Um, but this is the brand new Jeep fully electric vehicle. No name for it. Supposed to be early launching in 2023, I think they said, early next year. So it looks like from the photos a Compass or Patriot kind of thing.
Yeah, it looks like in that size. It's a little bit smaller than Cherokee. Uh, Classic Jeep design language, with that floating roof kind of thing, the way the C pillar is shaped, and just the front grille and the headlights. Everything wraps together very much like a Jeep.
You gotta have the blacked out hood emblem, or not emblem. Sorry, the blackout hood,
Hood
like the
graphic.
centerpiece. Yeah, because you know generally it's only offered on Trailhawks. I don't think this one is because this one, like we
It
saw.
looks very low slung.
Well, not only that, but it doesn't have the trail rated badge on the front fender, which
Yet. I wouldn't hold my breath. Jeep, you know how Jeep, like their CEO talks, like they talk like, every Jeep is built, you know, at least with the trail in mind, and whatever, we're gonna put real tow hooks on this and stuff like that. They don't want to be that company that, this might be the normal variant, but they may still make. I can
something.
I can totally see, because look, they made a Renegade Trailhawk, like.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there are
surprisingly
some people
capable.
that actually take it out off
Yeah,
road
we
because,
saw one last time.
yeah, but as the Grand Tour has proven, like anything is an off roader. The
Yeah,
car that you care the least about is
it's the
is the
best
great
off
off.
roader.
Is the
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks a little bit like the 500X
great looking vehicle.
proportion. Yeah, it's a good looking vehicle, not a great vehicle overall, but
Yeah,
uh,
looks and the fact that the vehicle is good is two separate things.
yeah, that's kind of Stellantis's model. Like, I think all of the new cars in the last 5 years have been that way, where they look great, they almost feel great for the money, and
But
they
do you
just
really
fall
want to
apart.
own one? Yeah, like, do you really want to own one? That's the hard part. Like, like you said, it is a great looking machine, and this one is no different. The fender flares on it, it's absolutely massive. It's a really good looking SUV. And the taillights, I really like those as well. They remind me of the Patriot because it has the little X kind of look,
Is that the
like a Jerry.
Renegade?
Oh yes, Renegade.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Renegade. Yeah,
It's like the jerry can,
yeah, the
the side of the
structure.
jerry can.
Yeah,
It looks absolutely great, but
yeah,
it looks small. But then again, the Ionic 5 looks small, but really
yeah.
it isn't. So it's
No.
super hard to say.
Well, and I'm always a fan of EVs that don't look like EVs,
Mm,
which this one, it's still got a normal
100%.
Jeep grille.
Yeah,
And it's not a turtle. Like, I always called EV manufacturers out for making turtle-looking cars, and this is definitely not one of them.
no. Which is going to hurt its range, but you know what? I
It,
don't think I care that much. I
yeah, and
really
ultimately,
don't.
this is probably a more practical shape, right? Like, if it
Yeah,
means you have a more usable frunk and a more usable trunk, a
yeah.
little bit of aerodynamic range isn't going to matter, especially for city folk,
No.
right? Which is kind of where EV buyers are centralized typically,
100%.
right?
100%.
If you're not spending that much time on the highway, aerodynamics not a big deal.
No. Not at all. They did release an image. I don't have it brought up of the Ram 1500 as well. It was like a sketch, like nothing promising, but there's going to be a Ram 1500 EV.
Hmm.
They have to do it. Ford's doing it. GM's
Silverado.
doing it. They have to do it. So just matter of time. And then to the last topic from Ford, not for North America. This is so basically everywhere other than North America. It's the Ford Everest. The Everest is not a brand new name or anything like that, but if you're in North America, you've probably never heard of it. The Everest is based off the Ford Ranger, so it's a full body on frame SUV. It's quite different because we don't actually haven't had body on frame mid-size SUVs in a very long time
Hmm.
here in North America, anyways. Because we still get the Tahoes and whatnot, and those are body on frame, but they're full size.
Yeah,
The, the
because people here
last,
tend to want soccer mom vans like an
yeah,
Explorer or Highlander, and those cars sell. Like I don't blame them. They have more space than these typically would, and probably ride better, handle better. And so I kind of get it.
I totally get it, but
I'd way
if
rather have this.
yeah, like exactly, like sure, a Toyota Highlander would be easier to live with every day, but
Yeah,
I would love to drive something like this so that on the weekends I can actually take road trips off the trails, have some fun with it.
exactly. And it can tow because
Yeah,
it's a Ranger underneath. So
yeah,
we don't have something that's like not ginormous that can still tow a respectable amount and can still technically be a 3 row and be off-road capable. Like there's just not many options.
like the
Virtually
only
no
one is
options.
like Grand Cherokee L. That's it.
Yeah, or maybe like a GX if you
Uh,
can even count
no,
that.
no one really buys a GX anymore.
Yeah, but they're so
GX,
expensive.
the way that I I'm sorry, the GX is like literally 30 years old at this point.
Yeah,
Not
the
actually, but
Toyota guys will defend it.
oh, I'm sure.
It's worth it. Like, what would you rather have? What would you rather break down on the trail? Like, bro, 100 grand. The 100 grand for an interior that looks like it's 2005.
Yeah, it's the GX is a problem for Lexus. I mean, even the LX got an update. Anyways,
Oh, the
totally.
LX is nice.
Yeah,
But yeah, we don't get body on frame. This thing is what, a little bit smaller than Durango. Maybe it's probably a lot
probably,
smaller.
but I'm thinking it's around the same size as a Durango. It should
Looks
be
like a
around.
Durango, but interior volume I don't think is as
Oh,
big as a
interior volume is
Durango.
definitely be smaller because it's body on frame. But because it
Yeah.
is body on frame, 7,700 pound tow rating, which is pretty good. Rooftop tent, no problem, because there's a dynamic load of 220 and static load of 770. So
Sheesh.
that's
That's a lot
that's
of weight.
yeah,
770.
like that's a 3-person tent.
Yeah.
That's a 3-person rooftop tent with no issues.
Yeah. This would be a great vehicle, I think. Like I would love to own something like this. You know, not as long as a Ranger, because Ranger is great and all. Like it has a lot of the function that this has, but I just don't want something that long. If this can keep it under 200 inches and still give you the same towing and payload, and it's just eh, more comfortable. I still prefer like this kind of one cabin SUV design than a pickup truck in many ways. Um,
So
yeah, too bad we don't get it.
what you're saying? You want a Chevy Avalanche?
No, I rather have it enclosed.
So like the Envoy EUV
XUV.
XUV. I keep getting that name wrong, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, okay, so the Everest is 192.6 inches,
perfect.
right? Like that's a small, like very reasonable car length to park in city parallel parking situations. Like that is the length of a Camry. It's one of the most average cars you can find, right? Like it's very
It's pretty
reasonable.
average, yeah.
You don't need a big 3 row SUV, a full size 3 row SUV at least. Like the third row is just there in a pinch. this is not going to have as usable of a third row as an Explorer, but yeah, I wish we could have something like this here.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything like all the manufacturers, I think Mitsubishi makes stuff like this. Toyota's got stuff like this, and we just don't get it. We get the Forerunner, I guess. Can't tow, and the interior is garbage, and it's expensive, and has no power.
Ju- Justin back on offending Toyota owners. Last
Mhm.
week was Tacoma. This week is Forerunner. I guess I kind of hit them a little bit with the GX a little as well, but
Yeah, yeah, pretty comparable to the Forerunner in terms of length, I guess. Because yeah,
yeah, I think I it sucks that we don't get it. There's definitely a lot of cars overseas that they get that we don't, and I don't necessarily know why. You
yeah, I feel
know,
like we have no saturation of SUVs. Like, just look at the Jeep lineup, right? Like
yeah,
they have,
like look at Hyundai. They literally have like 7 SUVs,
yeah.
and they're gonna add more.
I know why. Because some reviewer is gonna be like, I can get a Hyundai Palisade that
Mm.
costs the same as this. Interior is way nicer, way more comfortable, it's faster, cheaper, better warranty. Why the hell would I buy a Ford Everest? And then people will eat that up.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. It's definitely not. I don't know. I feel like our market has changed a lot now. People are not
People
buying.
want to go overlanding.
People want to do kind of like this
At least look like
overlanding,
it.
and that's also true. People want to go out there and explore. If they don't, they'll just buy an EV, right? Like they'll buy an EV for your inner city travels,
Oh,
and then buying something like this to have some fun in the weekends.
speaking of people wanting to go out and explore, should we talk about our kicking tires project?
We have 15 minutes, might as well.
Yeah. So the kicking tires RAV4, 2003
It's
RAV4,
dead. No, not
it's
really.
it's very alive and very well. Like we've actually invested a lot of time and money into it, and then something came up, which we will announce later on. We won't talk about that yet, but it is for sale. Uh, if you have any friends that want it, we've got a lot of interest. Uh, and part of the reason why is the picture that I used as the first picture is with the Toyos and the SSR wheels, and everyone wants these wheels. I've had 6 different inquiries, and they're just like, "How
Would
much
you?
to include the wheels? Will you part out the wheels?" I love how it looks on the wheels. My wife loves it, and I'm like, "It's not for sale. Those aren't like because we need them." Spoiler alert for our
Well,
next.
we we can sell it with them, but I don't think anyone wants to pay the price that
It's
we.
yeah, it's worth more to me than it is to anyone who wants to buy it because ultimately we still need all-terrain tires for the next car, and
Yeah,
these tires were not cheap. They're like over $1,000,
yeah.
uh, and the wheels are not cheap. They're forged JDM wheels. They weigh nothing and they're strong, and we love them, and it looks so good, obviously. And so the car is in today. Today is March 2nd. The car's in today getting its windshield replaced. I should be picking up right after this podcast. And oh, my friend has just messaged me. He's dropping it off 1 minute ago. So
Perfect.
I will have it in a matter of minutes. And so yeah, it's got a lot going for it. It is everything's been replaced. The shocks have been replaced. The brakes have been replaced. The valve cover. It's it's pretty well sorted. And the only issue I had was the windshield crack, which that has now been replaced. And so we put a lot into it, and I
It's a
think
it's a very well maintained vehicle as well, right? Like it's not just from us, from before us. The guy has
there's
full
so many
dealer
records.
papers
Yeah, and
of
that's
that.
kind of what helped the ad a lot is that I like here's in September it was serviced by the dealer. October we got a pre-purchase inspection on it. Here's the Carfax from October. Here's all the records. Here's a mountain of records from the last 12 years. And
It has the best looking seats that you'll ever see.
yeah, they're
They're
super mint. The interior is perfect. Uh,
pristine.
and it's got CarPlay and it's got backup cam It's got Android Auto. It's got offline navigation. It is it is the car to get, and I think the price is okay.
I think it's fair.
It's fair because we are getting quite a bit of interest into it. Like
I think
I've been getting messages every day. It's a lot easier to sell than my M2. I can tell you that. Uh,
I think it's fair simply due to the amount of work that's been put into it.
yeah, because I'm very straight up with people. I'm like, okay, there are similar mileage Rav4s that you can get for 5, but we've put like 5K into this thing. Yeah, like retail, not realistically 5K, just because a lot of stuff is done through my shop and done by ourselves that we don't pay retail price for it. But if you were to build it this way, it would probably cost you like 4 or 5K. So just take this turnkey, and you won't find a car with better records. And yeah, I think uh, should be it should be gone soon. I think it will be gone by next week. We'll see.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
The next car is already in line. Did you already put the
Next
deposit on it?
car I am picking up on Sunday.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I kind of delayed it. I think they wanted to get rid of it earlier, but our schedules didn't line up, so we're like Sunday, and it will be
Cool.
that. It's. I don't want to say what it is.
No, no, no. We
Kind
shouldn't
of
say. We need to
make
hype
a
it up a
video of
little
it.
bit. Yeah, we need to hype it up a little bit. Actually, Sunday. I think I'm free Sunday.
Yeah. So yeah, the Rav4 is probably gone. I think, but not to be forgotten. It's a good car.
It's you know what? I actually had a lot of fun that one time, literally
One
that
time. Yeah,
that
I
we
took it
went
out
out.
once. He took it out once, and that's
Yeah,
it. It's
it. I mean, to be honest, if we didn't have the mudslides and then the torrential downpour and then the heavy snowstorm, we would have taken it out more. But
hmm
all of our Forest Service roads were closed until recently. Actually, I think for some of them were still closed. People are still
yeah, and a lot of
going.
them are quite messed up.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, it was just like we went out, and then like 2 weeks later, the whole Fraser Valley flooded, and so
yeah.
that's
We were like, huh. We can't really do much because everything east of us was closed. Everything north of us was closed.
yeah,
There was nothing. I mean, the only thing we can do is crawl around parking lots, which,
yeah, which we did.
well,
I did.
you did.
Yeah, we actually put a decent amount of mileage on it over 4 months. We bought it on Halloween, so it's been like 4 months. Put like 5,000K on it, which is more than I thought we would. I might do one more oil change depending on whether or not I feel like it. The previous owner gave us extra oils. I
Hmm,
might as well. Yeah.
makes sense. Ooh, I want that air pump. Um,
So salty about that air pump.
I could not believe it was just hidden inside the car.
Mm.
But I think that's really it for today. Oh, got a few more minutes. I want to talk a little bit about the review. It was
Yeah, I just saw it.
the uh, the little Hyundai Kona. So the Kona is the second smallest SUV that Hyundai makes. Posted
SUV,
uh,
quote unquote.
quote unquote CUV. The Kona N line. It's appearance package really. I mean, it does have a slightly better engine, the 1.6 turbo, compared to the base 2 liter, just naturally aspirated 4. But you could have just got the older Kona, which had the same engine as well. This little vehicle, it's like a mild hatch. It's actually kind of fun to drive, but it has one huge problem, and it's that dual clutch. The dual clutch in these Hyundais, like they're just not smooth. They're just not good. Like there's really no reason that that transmission should be used. Like it's not any faster than a traditional
And weren't they
automatic.
very unreliable?
They were at one point. I'm not sure if the new ones are better or not, but they definitely were. Like I would say if you want a Kona, get the base engine because the base engine, that 2 liter, sure, it only has like 140 odd horsepower, but the IVT that's in that, it's so good. The IVT is a CVT, but they call it intelligent because
Mm.
marketing. But I gotta be honest, the Hyundai and Kia's CVT transmissions, it's probably one of the better ones that I've tested. They're quick to respond, they shift well, because they do have that kind of artificial shifting when you floor it, so that you don't get that full drone, and it just works better overall. Pricing wise, on the little Kona isn't too bad as well. I think it's for what it is, it's cheaper than any other kind of subcompact CUV. But in that price bracket, here in Canada at least, you can get the CX3, which is smaller, and that's really it. Because the Kicks is only available in front wheel drive,
Mm.
and the Qashqai is quite a bit bigger. And there's really nothing else within that bracket. Actually, the Trailblazer is very similar, but I haven't had a chance to go into that. I know you like the Trailblazer.
I like it, but I would never buy one. So it's like the Kona actually is very well priced. I think even the electric and the N, like I do like that car. I think it looks kind of cool, but
Yeah,
too bad.
34,000 for this one. The thing is, if you put in another 5,000, you get the Kona N line. Not N line, sorry,
The N,
the full
the full
N.
blown N,
Yeah,
which is front wheel drive.
front wheel drive only, but you get a 2 liter, 276 horsepower, and the better dual clutch in that.
You can't get manual, can you?
No manual on the Kona. You can only
Dang.
get manual on the Veloster.
Veloster. The Veloster is very nice to drive.
It's okay.
Ah,
So
dang.
I
You're always the Hyundai fanboy, so
I do it's not that I don't like it. It's just I didn't love it because
well, I don't love the
here
Type R anymore either. So.
well, you don't like the Type R because the rear view camera, or not rear, side view camera keeps busting on you, and the infotainment system is just horrible.
Yeah,
The problem with the Veloster for me isn't so much that it's not fun to drive. It's because the GTI exists.
but the Veloster is way more fun than a
It
GTI.
is, but GTI it's easier to live with to have every day. It has
Yeah,
actual doors in the back. You can get more power out of it, and the resell is better.
I think so. It might even be more reliable, despite what people have,
Yeah.
what people think about German cars here for
Yeah.
some
I
reason.
mean that engine has been around forever now.
Yeah, and Audi electronics don't really act up either
No.
for the last 10 years at least. I think, yeah, that's one thing that we'll touch, in the future. But VW making some pretty solid products. Hyundai not so much.
Yeah. And I think that's really it for this week.
Mm.
Thank you so much everyone for tuning in, watching and all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week with some more automotive news and maybe a reveal. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see. Take care everyone.
See ya.